I will stand none of your snobbery. I'm just as proud of Tarleton's underwear as you of your father's title, his KCB, and all the rest of it. My father began his shop in a little hole in Leeds, no bigger than the pantry down there. He went on to become...
Oh, yes, I know. I've read it. The Romance of Business, the story of Tarleton's underwear. Please take one. I bought one after I first met Hypatia. I bought half a dozen of unshrinkable vests.
Well, did they shrink?
Oh, don't be a fool.
Never mind whether I'm a fool or not. Did they shrink? That's the point. Were they worth the money?
I couldn't wear them. Do you think my skin's as thick as your customer's hide? I'd rather soon wear a cheese grater.
It's a pity your father couldn't give your thin skin a good jolly lacing with a cane.
Pity you haven't got more than one idea. If you must know, they tried it once. When I was a small kid. Silly old governess did it. I yelled fit to bring down the house. Went into convulsions and brain fever. That sort of thing for about 3 weeks. After that, they fired the silly old girl. Serves her right. I was left to do as I liked. My father didn't want me to grow up as a broken, spirited spaniel. Your idea of a man, I suppose.
Well, it's a jolly good thing that my father made you come into the office to see what you were like. And let me tell you, it didn't come to much. When the governor asked me what we should do with you, I said, let's make him the office boy. The governor said, you were too green. And, so you were.
I dare say, you'd be pretty green yourself if you were shoved into my father's seat. I picked up your silly business in a fortnight. It's been 10 years and you still haven't picked it up yet?
Don't talk rot to me, child, or you know it will simply make me pity you.
You're nothing but a turnspit.
A what?
A turnspit. If your father had made a jacking roast for you, you'd be behind a counter making 24 shillings a week.
If you don't take that back and apologize for your bad manners, I'm gonna give you a good as hiding as ever.
Help! Johnny's beating me! Murder!
Stop that noise! I'm not gonna hurt you! Shh!
Bentley, what's the matter? Don't cry like that. What's the use? What has happened? Oh, are you ill, child? What's wrong? No, don't cry. There. Johnny will go for the doctor and he'll get you something to make you better. What has happened, Johnny? Was it a wasp?
Wash me dash!
Bunny, that was a naughty word.
Yes, I know. I beg your pardon. That's alright. You know how easy it is to hurt me, and I'm so small to defend myself against Johnny.
Oh, Johnny, how many times have I told you not to bully the little ones? I thought you'd outgrown all that. I do declare, Mama, that Johnny's brutality makes it impossible to live in the house with him.
I've never broken my word. And when this whelp begins to cry before he's even hurt, you're treating me as a savage.
No, not a savage, dear, but you know you must not call the visitors naughty names.
Oh, let him alone.
Don't interfere between my mother and me.
Johnny's lost his temper, Mother. We'd better go. Come, Bentley. Yes, that will be best. Johnny's not himself. He'll be himself presently. Smash it. Don't hesitate. Just do it. It's an ugly thing. Smash it. Hard. Feel better now? There's only one thing that could drive a man to either break China or commit murder. And that's my son, Bentley. Was it he? I heard some yelling when we were coming down the road. A yelling I know far too well. Nobody has ever succeeded, but almost everybody has tried. The problem with Bentley is that he was meant to be a success at 50. Most Englishmen of the time are at the most 24 when they're successes. My problem is how I'm supposed to deal with Bentley until he's at the age of 50. Bentley doesn't really mean to be offensive. I mean, you can say you don't like him and make him cry, but he is really sensitive and affectionate, so that he probably gets as much as he gives out in hurt feelings. You'll excuse me rambling on like this.
You are right. I needed a moment to pull around. Thanks.
Not at all. Is your father home?
No, He's opening up one of his free libraries. That's a nice little penny gun. He's mad about reading. It'll hit you as hard as me when Bunny marries Hypatia. I mean, when Hypatia runs out of all her money on the libraries, where's Bunny gonna come in? Can you stop him?
I'm afraid not. He's a perfect whirlwind. Infatigable at public work.
Public work. He does too much of it.
The danger of public work is that a man may kill himself at it. It never ends.
Or he can spend more than he takes in on it. That's how I see it. What I say is everybody's business is nobody's business. I'm not a hard man, nor a man unwilling to pay reasonable taxes or to subscribe to a deserving charity. But to go beyond that, I just don't see it. Even as a child, I had to pretend to listen to the governor's stories that he would feed me, and I just didn't see it. I just didn't get it. I still don't get it.
There's no business reason that you should take more than your share of the world's work.
So I say, it's a really great encouragement to me to find that you're on my side. For of course, if you didn't, I could be a fool and I wouldn't even know it.
Quite so.
I wish you would talk to him about it. I mean, there's no use me talking to about it. I'm still a child to him. And besides, you're great at talking to men. You saw how you handled yourself when I was getting all angry about Bunny.
Not at all.
Hey, Commander. Have you been come soon? I've been making a silly ass of myself. I'm awfully sorry, Johnny, old chap. Why don't you kick me when I get on like that?
You know, as I was coming from Godalming, I heard some yelling.
Thought you did too. Johnny was rather tough on me. He told me that no one liked me, and I was silly enough to believe him.
And all the women have been kissing you and pitying you ever since, I suppose. Baby.
I did cry. I feel always wretchedly better after I cry. I feel so jolly now.
And you're not at all ashamed, for instance?
Why would I be ashamed? Then I'll be feeling that the rest of my whole life. Let's go. We gotta go meet the old chap.
Does Mr. Tarleton like to be called Grand Champ? Do you think, Bentley?
He thinks it's too modest. He prefers plain John. But he doesn't like to be called at the office. And it's not it's flamboyant enough.
What?
Flamboyant. Let's go. The old man called from the radio phone saying he was at Gradford. You know how he is with the telephoning or telegraphing? He thinks he's hustling and not with the unnecessary messages.
No, thank you. I should prefer a quiet afternoon.
Johnny had enough of me for one weekend.
Not a bad idea, that.
What?
Bentley, the governor likes him. And the governor could probably squeeze me out if Bentley wanted to.
Not bad at all. Young rascal. I want to talk about him to you, if you don't mind. Shall we take a stroll over to the gibbet? Bentley's too fast for me as a walking companion, but I shall like a short turn. Oh, Lord Summerhaze, I didn't know you were here. Won't you have some tea? No, thank you. I'm not allowed tea. But I'm ashamed to say that I broke your beautiful centerpiece. You must let me replace it. Oh, no, I'm only too glad to be rid of it. The shopkeeper said it was in the best taste. But when my poor old nurse Martha got cataract, Bunny said it was a merciful provision of nature to prevent her seeing our china. That was very naughty of Bentley, Mrs. Tarleton. I hope you told him so. Oh, no, bless you. I don't mind what he says, as long as he says it before me and not before visitors.
We are going out for a stroll, Mother.
All right, dear, don't let us keep you. I'll get the girl to come take the pieces away. There, I've done it again.
Done what?
Called her the girl. You know, it's a funny thing, Lord Summerhaze. Now that I'm growing old, I'm reverting back to all the old ways John and me had when we barely had 100 a year. You should have known me when I was 40. I talked like a duchess, and if Johnny or Hypatia let anything slip, I was on them like anything. And now I'm gone and doing it at every turn. There comes a time when all that seems to matter so little Even the gods drop their masks at some point.
Oh, bless you for giving a thing such a pretty turn. You know, Lord Summerhaze, you're a humbug. John doesn't know it, and Johnny doesn't know it, but you and I, we know it. And that's something even you can't answer. Now off to your walk with you without another word.
I wonder whether they laugh at us when they're by themselves.
Who?
Bentley and his father and all the toffs in their set.
Oh, no, that's only their way. I used to think the aristocracy was a nasty, sneering laugh, always laughing at me and John. They're always giggling and pretending not to care about anything. But that's only their way. They're the same to one another and to everyone else. But besides, what does it matter what they think? Because when they're civil, they usually ask you to lend them money. And you must never do that, Hypatia. Because how can they pay, you see? They don't make anything. Unless you decide to regard it as a gift, then that's a whole new matter. But then they generally ask you to lend the money again, and it's better to say no first and last. But you needn't be afraid of their aristocracy, dear. They're only humans like ourselves. But you'll hold your own against them easily enough.
Oh, I'm not a bit afraid of them, I assure you.
Oh no, not afraid of them exactly, but you've got to pick up their ways. You know, I never agreed with your father's notion of sending to a school that was so expensive that they couldn't afford to go there and steering clear of them. So the school is filled with big business folk like us. But the world is made of all sorts, and I want you to experience a little of all of them. But when you go among women of his father's set when you marry Bentley, they'll shock you at first.
How?
Why, the things they say.
Oh, scandal mongering?
Oh no, we all do that. That's only human nature. But you should have heard the things they say. They have no notion of decency. I shall never forget the day I spent with a marchioness, 2 duchesses, and no end of lady this and that. It was only a committee. They put me on it to get a big subscription out of John. I've never heard such talk in my life. And it was the marchioness that started it all.
What sort of things?
Drainage. She tried 3 systems in her castle, and she was going to do away with them all and try another. I didn't know which way to look when they began speaking about these things. And they each had their own system, and all of them swore by it. And I sat there with my cheeks burning until one of the duchesses, thinking I looked out of it, I suppose, asked me what system we had. And I said, I assure you I knew nothing of the sort, and how we better change the subject. But that was fat in the fire, I tell you. And then there was a regular terror of a countess with an anaerobic system. And she downright brutally told me that I'd better learn about such things before one of my children died of diphtheria. And that was just 2 months after we buried poor little Bobby. And I couldn't handle it. I cried. I had to get out of the room. But not before one of the duchesses was talking about what sour milk did to her insides, and how if she took it regularly, she'd live to be 100. And there I was, thinking a duchess could not have something as common as an inside. If I had been a child, I wouldn't have minded it as much, because we must talk about that. But a grown person, I was glad to get out of there.
There was a physiology and hygiene class in our school, but of course, none of our girls were led to attend.
Oh, if it was in her aristocratic class, there were plenty to attend it. But with a real nice, good woman, a thing is either decent or indecent. And if it is indecent, they do not mention it, or they pretend not to know anything about it. And that's the end of it. But all the aristocracy cares about is whether they can get a good thing out of it. They're what Johnny calls cynical-like. But no one can say a word for it, because they're up so high, they can do and say as they please.
I think they should leave the drainage to their husbands. I shouldn't think much of a man who left such things to me.
Oh, no, never think that, dear. I never let on about it to you, but it's me that takes care of the drainage. After what the Countess said, I wasn't about to let another of my children die, or just trust John. I'd prefer my children not die as much as my grandchildren.
Do you think Bentley will ever be as big a man as his father? I don't mean clever, I mean big and strong.
Oh no, not he. He's an overbred little show dog. Myself, I like a bit of Mongol in me. Whether it's a man or dog, it's better for everyday use. But each woman has her taste, and what's one woman's meat is another woman's poison. But he's a dear little thing. I could never imagine fancying him for a husband at your age.
Yes, but he has some brains. He's not like all the rest. One can't have everything.
Oh, that's quite right. That's quite right. It's great to have brains. Look what it did for your father. But that's why I never said a word when you jilted poor Jerry McIntosh.
I couldn't stick it out with Jerry, Mother. I know you liked him, and no one can deny that he was a splendid animal.
Hypatia, how can you? The things girls say nowadays.
Well, what else can you call him? If I'd been deaf or he'd been dumb, I could have married him. But living with Father, I got accustomed to cleverness. Jerry would drive me mad. You know he's a fool. Even Johnny knows he's a fool.
Oh, don't start about my Johnny. He's as clever as anyone else in his own way. I wouldn't say he's as clever as you in some ways, but he's a man at all events. And he's not a little squid of a thing like your bunny.
I'm not saying anything against your darling. We all know Johnny's a perfection.
I'm just as bad as you. I'll stop about Bentley, and you stop about Johnny. There.
Oh, I don't mind you saying that about Bentley. It's true. He's a little squid of a thing. I wish he wasn't. But who else is there? Think of all the other chances that I had. Not one of them had as much brains in their whole body as much Bentley had in his one finger. Besides, it's as much as I can do to tell one from the other. They wouldn't even have any money if they weren't the sons of their fathers, like Johnny. What's the girl to do? I've never met anybody like Bentley. He may be small, but he's the best of the bunch. You can't deny it.
Well, if you fancy him, my pet, there's nothing more to be said.